So you guys are going to be missionaries to Rosarito, Baja California, Mexico.
Correct.
How's it feel?
It feels good.
Daunting.
It's a little,
Good and daunting.
little overwhelming, but it feels good. It feels like a lot of work, but we're excited about it.
When do you guys go?
We're leaving the end of January, and so we're anticipating the end of January, beginning of February, being down there full time. So
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is super exciting.
That is super exciting. So I kind of wanted just to go through you guys' story of where the burden first came from missions. I know both of you are no strangers to missions in general, but where did the burden first come from as a couple?
I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, nice. Well, like you said, I mean, missions has been like a big part of both of our lives and all of that. And I think that probably from the beginning, it was something that we were both interested in, even like that we talked about when we were dating, not necessarily being missionaries, but just being involved in what God was doing everywhere, not just locally. And then probably the beginning of our marriage, we started talking about how we wanted to impact more than just our local church and what did that really look like. And I don't know that the term missionary really popped into our heads until this opportunity. It was kind of just wherever God takes us, whatever happens, until Rosarito came along, and I was like,
Yeah, I don't think I ever anticipated seeing myself as a missionary. I don't know that it ever really crossed my mind, just because missionaries are heroes, and we make them heroes, and they are, because they're the ones that are out doing it. And so I never really anticipated an opportunity presenting itself to allow us to step out and become missionaries until really this opportunity.
Yeah.
And so we were able to spend some time on the missions field. Obviously, both of our dads are connected to missions works around the world. But the first opportunity that I personally had was before we even got married. Brother Stephen Jones in Roatan invited me to come be with him for a week. And that was really my first glimpse into missions work. And so I think that's kind of where it started. And then it's just kind of gradually progressed.
Was
from
that
there.
trip what you guys took recently?
No. So that was probably April of 21, something like
something
that.
along there.
So early part of 21, and it was just me by myself. So
I know you guys took a trip together for about a month. How did that go?
we were down there for 6 weeks. Brother Jones asked us if we would be interested in coming down and just being a part of what's going on. And so we accepted the offer, and it went really well. I think it further confirmed the idea of, Spanish ministry, being missionaries, and allowed us to kind of peek into the window to see how it's done, how it's operated, because what he's doing in Roatan is high class. I mean, he's operating as I would hope to operate. And so he's a role model for us, certainly. And so, it was a good trip.
Yeah. So. What about that trip? How do you guys know that this is what you want to do for when the opportunity opened up for Rosarito? Was that trip something that impacted you guys?
I think Spanish ministry as a whole, I think coming off of that trip and looking back, that's where we really felt a burden and felt like, this is something that we would really like to do, not really knowing where or what, but just feeling, Spanish ministry is where we would like to be, the culture, the dynamic. So I think that's probably where the catalyst started.
Do you guys speak Spanish?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. So how do you plan on it? Well, let's back up a little bit here, but when did the door open for Rosarito specifically?
We were on a trip to go see the work in Ensenada with the Rodriguezes. They had just signed the papers, if I'm not mistaken, for a building that's right downtown in Ensenada. And so members of the WPF Missions Council were going down, of which my father and Brother Young are a part of. And so they just kind of invited me to go along. And it wasn't really something that was planned. It was a little inconvenient to make the trip a part of our schedule. And so we went down there, and Brother Rodriguez, while I was down there, just kind of asked, very straightforward, do you like Mexico? And the initial response to that was obviously, yeah, I mean, Mexico's great. I love Mexico's awesome. Not really having any idea what was coming next. Yeah. And he said, well, do you like Mexico enough to move down here? And, that's a big question. That's not just something that you answer right there. And so I think I said something to the effect of, no, not really. And so he asked more directly. He said, I need somebody to come help us down here in Rosarito. Would you guys be interested? So I said, yeah, well, we'll pray and we'll think about it. We'll fast about it. And that's kind of where the opportunity presented itself. And that's where we initially started thinking about Mexico as a destination.
That's awesome. So, how long after that did you feel like this is okay? We're going to do it.
I think once for me, because he came home and told me about it, and it was just kind of from that point, it was kind of just this is probably what we'll do. There wasn't really a question. It was, we were praying, we were, seeking what's the next step in our lives and in our ministry. And then this opportunity is here. Why not walk in it? Mm-hmm. But,
we're in a place and in a position. Obviously, we're newly married, but this is the prime opportunity for us to move into ministry because we're not tied down by kids at this point. And so for us to uproot our lives, now is probably the only time that we'll have the opportunity to do something like this. And so we felt confident that now is the time, and we hope to seize the opportunity as best we can.
Yeah. How do you guys plan on immersing yourself in the Mexican culture as time comes?
Lots of food.
Good Mexican food.
Yeah, there's really good Mexican food.
We were just able to be down there. We were there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this past week. And we went to a Mexican food place called Villa Ortega's. And
new spot?
New spot for us, yeah. And so we walk in, and it's a really cool shop. It's actually in Puerto Nuevo, which is south of Rosarito. And they have tortillas, flour tortillas, that are probably 18 inches, just massive tortillas.
They look like pizzas.
Yeah, they look like 18-inch pizzas in, tortillas, and it's the best tortilla that you could ever eat.
It's phenomenal. Just a tortilla?
Just tortilla. Yeah. Well, you can get other stuff too. Okay. But that's like the side is tortillas. Okay. They just bring giant tortillas.
So it's good stuff.
We were obviously impressed by the tortillas.
Yeah. Do you plan on taking classes to learn?
Yeah, so we're looking into doing like an immersion school when we first get there. And then, potentially maybe not always being an immersion school, but maintaining that opportunity and, continuing to grow in our Spanish and all that.
Yeah, we have some background in Spanish. As far of a background as, 3 years in high school, whatever that's worth. And then London has actually been to immersion school before. And so we can get by very, simply. But obviously, we're far from fluent in Spanish.
What's immersion school exactly?
So
It's like 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
Well, depends on what type of school you go to, but basically like you're back in high school and you're only learning Spanish. So you're going to learn grammar, you're going to learn conversive, you're going to learn conjugating, all of that, and you just spend all day learning the language, and you do it Monday through Friday for a period of weeks. And they expect by the end of that you're going to be super comfortable with what you've learned at that point.
I think what's cool about the school that we're looking at is you can spend a certain amount of time in class, and then at a certain point, they kind of send you to go run errands. And so they want you to go to like a grocery store, and they'll send you a list of things, and you go find, where's the bananas, and you
Put it into application.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the cereal boxes, and where do we find yogurt, and stuff like that. So we'll see.
So Pastor shared a story when you guys were down there about an encounter with an officer. Can you tell a story again?
Yeah. So this is the first trip that we had taken down there. And it was me, my dad, my mom, London, and her mom, her sister-in-law, and then her niece. And so we were sitting in the car, and I had Echo in my lap, who's she's 18 months, and obviously in violation of the law. And we were approached by an officer. He pulled us over and told us that we were obviously in violation, and it was an infraction. And we were going to have to turn over our license for the weekend. And we'd have to come to court on Monday and pay the fine, and then, obviously pick up our license. That was not going to happen because we weren't going to be there through the weekend. We were leaving on Saturday. He wanted us to come on Monday. And so we just asked, what can we do to get out of this right now? How can we get our license right now? And so $200 later, we got our license back. So
It's definitely different than the U.S.
Yes.
yeah,
A lot different.
different culture.
So what are you excited most about what God's going to do in Rosarito?
I think just seeing redemptive lift. I think being able to be a part of a group of people that are excited about, hungry about the things of God, and watching God work as only He can, and seeing a restoration of people that really want to see God work in their life, and they're hungry. And so I think that's probably the thing that I'm most excited about, is just to be a part and watch the process unfold, and play a small part in what God wants to do.
Yeah, we saw some pictures on Instagram. How is the congregation? And how big is it right now?
So right now, when we went down a few days ago, there were 4 families, but as of today, there's now 5 families. And yeah, so there's 5 couples, quite a few kids mixed in there. Other than the last one, all the other families have the Holy Ghost. They've been coming for a few months. Yeah, they're currently all commuting about an hour south on Sundays, and then they're kind of grouping together on midweeks and trying to have a Bible study amongst themselves and just be a church without a church building, without a pastor. But they're really hungry, and so we're excited to go be part of it.
How many churches are in Mexico? I mean, I don't know if you know that.
I have no idea.
Number.
Brother Rodriguez, at this point, he's got the one church, they've got 2 churches in Ensenada, and then they have a couple Bible study groups throughout Mexico. Well, probably more than a couple, but quite a few Bible study groups. And Rosarito has kind of grown beyond being a Bible study group and is kind of a church at this point,
So they're traveling to Ensenada right now.
Yeah,
Correct. Sunday nights.
They're borrowing a van or a bus and then commuting. I think it's about an hour to the church on Sundays.
Are you guys going to start out with the church building there, or just kind of?
So we're in in conversation to secure a building. Trying to find a building down there is a little bit challenging because as soon as it's broadcast or
On the market.
on the market, they go, really quick. And so it's kind of word of mouth. And if you're the first one to get there and be, interested, then you can secure it. But if you're not there in time, it can get pulled out from underneath you pretty quickly just because people are looking for spaces and things like that. So we're in the process of looking.
So right now, if when you go there, how are you guys meeting with your congregation? Just in houses right now?
Yeah, right now they're rotating houses.
Yeah.
House ministry. It's become a little bit cold. They were doing it outside in one of the individual's house. They had a little backyard that it was size enough for everybody, but it's gotten cold in the evenings down there, and so now they're meeting inside, but they need a space. They need an identity where they can feel like they can plant the flag, and this is our church.
I believe God's going to send a revival through.
I believe
We're
it.
believing it too.
I believe it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, both.
Absolutely
for joining. This is
Excited.
This is super excited for you guys.
Well, we're excited, and we appreciate you guys wanting to hear about the story, wanting to hear what's happening, because we're excited about what's happening, and we want other people to be excited too, obviously. And so, we're believing that God's gonna go before us and work and hopefully see God do great things.
Yeah, it's a bittersweet moment.
Yeah,
when you guys leave, but super exciting.
Yeah,
I know God's gonna do great things. Any last thoughts?
I will tell a quick story, just because we can. We went down there this past weekend. Obviously, Mexico is not the U.S., and so calling is a little bit of a challenge because there's a different country code. So here in the States, we're +1. So, +1, and then whatever the area code is, and then your phone number. Down in Mexico, it's +52. And so +52, whatever the number is. Well, while we were down there, we're noticing all these billboards with numbers, attorneys or restaurants, whatever it is, with +52 and then the area code and then the number. Well, I started recognizing that every billboard had the same area code, at least in Rosarito, that looked very familiar. And the area code in Rosarito is 661.
Oh, wow.
Which is the same area code here in Bakersfield.
So
it's just kind of a weird...
A fun coincidence.
A coincidence that I don't really think is a coincidence. I think, it's already been orchestrated somehow, some way. But it just kind of made us feel like, okay, this could...
Give you some comfort.
Feels like home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It like builds a connection between the two places.
Yeah, so,
for sure.
It was interesting. It was kind of fun to learn that. It was fun. So,
anything else that's kind of stood out to you as you've been there a few times?
It's a fun place. The people are awesome. Everybody is very kind. And so we're excited about being able to have our people come down and appreciate the culture and see kind of what's happening and be able to show them some of the attractions and good food spots and things like that. So I think that's something I'm really looking forward to, being able to see everyone else experience it. It's coming down and excited for us.
Fall in love with it the way we're falling in love with it.